Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey y'all,
Hi.
we're back with another video episode of our podcast.
Yes.
Welcome back. You sound so excited, Mish.
I am so excited. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I am. It's just like I'm trying to. Okay, so for the viewers, if you're looking at this on YouTube, it looks like I'm looking down. So I'm literally looking at Cinthya and at myself and at this. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just like still working on it,
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place too. I actually like tilted my screen down so that I wouldn't be like, I just feel like I'm looking up, So
yeah.
we're just trying to be level here.
Yes.
But welcome back to another episode of Awkwardly Random
With Cinthya and Michelle.
That's right.
I need
another episode.
I'm like Cinthya and Michelle. Okay, Cinthya and Michelle. It
sounds
sounds exactly the same.
Welcome back.
Welcome back
with Mish and Beans.
Yes. So today, let's get into it. We want to talk about this very new movie that just came out last week.
That's right.
Justice League, the Snyder Cut version, the 4-hour-long movie. Wow.
4 hours long. That's right. It was released on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the only platform it's been released on so far. It's super, super long. It's a different version of the Justice League that came out in 2017.
Mm-hmm. It's a different director.
Right. So Zack Snyder, the director, was actually working on that film back in 2017 when it was supposed to be released and whatnot. Yeah. But then he stepped down. Yeah. But then, and I think his wife was also part of the project as well, but they stepped down from post-production. They were experiencing a recent loss of their daughter, their daughter Autumn. So Joss Whedon finished the film, and that was the version that was released in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of major fans were not happy with the finished product.
I think a lot of the actors weren't happy either.
Yeah, I think just all around, it was just not. And I personally didn't enjoy it. I don't know about you, Michelle, but I thought it was all right. I was like, but I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I thought Barry in the original one that came, I don't know if we're calling it original, but the one in 2017, right, that came out. Mm-hmm. I just thought Barry Allen was funny, and that's about it. That's all I really took from it.
He was funny, but I feel like he was just, and we'll talk about this too as we'll get into like the Zack
comedic
Snyder
humor.
Cut. Yeah, he was just there for like a comic relief, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, there's more to him, and he's an integral part of this story.
Yeah,
But anyway, so after the Joss Whedon version came out, there was like a campaign on social media led by a lot of fans who were unhappy with the Joss Whedon cut, wanting for the release of the Zack Snyder cut.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on with like disagreements within the studio. There's like a lot of stuff behind the scenes that went on. So, but we're not going to get into that. Y'all can like Google it, look it up. We're here to talk about Zack Snyder's cut. 4 hours long. Mish, I want to ask you, what was your viewing experience like? Did you like sit through the whole thing, or did you take a break?
I took breaks because of Mia, my puppy, which she didn't allow me to just watch it through, or else I would have watched it through. But I paused it, and then I watched it the entire 4 hours in one day, but I paused it like throughout the day,
Yeah.
It was on a Saturday that I watched it.
Yeah.
And then I watched like part 1, because part 1 is my favorite. I watched part 1 the next day, and now I want to keep watching it. So what about you?
Yeah, so for people that don't know, well, nobody's gonna know this, but Michelle and I actually planned to watch it together. And the first thing I told her was like, okay, this thing is 4 hours long. I don't know if I have the attention span for it, and I might have to just like step out like 2 hours in and then finish it another time. But I ended up watching it on Sunday morning, and for it being a 4-hour movie, it was really easy to watch. Like, and I stayed with it the full 4 hours. I think I like genuinely enjoyed it. Which made the 4 hours like fly by. You know, I thought I was gonna take a break. I'm like, okay, 4 hours is a long time. I'll do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. It should be good. I had this plan, but I was like, actually, I can keep going. This is really good. So already that goes to show how much I personally enjoyed it more than the Joss Whedon version.
Yes.
What did you? Big improvement.
Yeah. What was your most favorite part of the movie?
Oh my gosh, that's hard to answer.
I know. I had a lot of good, like a lot of favorite parts just from the one time I saw it. Yeah. In its entirety.
There's there's a lot of differences between the two films. A lot of differences. But my favorite parts of the movie were like the expanded origin stories of Cyborg and the Flash.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know, like we finally got to like understand them, you know, like yes, with Cyborg and his story. And by the way, we should have said this before, but spoilers,
yeah, skip ahead.
Yeah, if we haven't watched it and you don't want any spoilers, you might want to skip ahead to our main topic. But
if you don't care about getting spoiled, keep listening.
Yep. Or if you've already seen it or whatever, you know, we're here to talk all about the Justice League, and we're going to give spoilers. So yeah, so you get like the origin story. You get to like really get to know what happened with Cyborg and his mom and his relationship with his dad and how he came to be. Whereas like with the Joss Whedon one, like I felt like he was just there, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like any type of anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Same.
So I really like those parts. What about you?
I did too. I loved for like the Amazons in part 1. Yeah. Ooh, badass. Yes. So good.
Yes.
And I loved Barry Allen's like more like development and just seeing like how fast he is, and then just like, but the way that they film it is just like in this slow motion, and very they paid attention to detail.
Oh yeah.
So, and like still kept it like with his humor and like how he is as a character.
Yeah.
And then Cyborg also is so that like this development in his entire story with his mother, with his father, and just like knowing that like he was smart even before he was Cyborg. I love that they did that, and it was just very sad and like touching and tragic, his story, that you know, you really feel for him. And and it was also nice to see Wonder Woman be a leader in this group and basically putting this team together. Although like Batman is the one reaching out, I felt like she was leading them throughout the entire movie. And then Superman, and in general the music, like if you pay attention to the music, and like with every little like clip that they showed, like the music really tied the story in to like this beautiful present. I think that like it hit those good like feels with the music, especially like when Lois Lane would visit the statue, and like that song is like in general, the music in general was really good. And I loved it. I loved the entire movie. Oh, the other thing that I really loved was when Barry Allen was like, I can make my own future or something like that, when he like, spoiler alert,
at the end
went back in time. All of it was amazing.
That's what I was gonna say, because you said that earlier. You said that the Flash, like we got to see how fast he is in this power, right? And I'm like, and in my head as I'm watching this film, like, okay, there's so much more to him. Like, not only is he fast, but he can literally go back in time. Like he can reverse the order of time because of how fast he is and what he can do in the Speed Force. And like the moment where they're trying to bring Superman back, right? And he has to touch the mother box as soon as it touches the water, right? I love that he missed it at first. right?
Yeah.
Like he failed the first time, but he was able to kind of reverse that time and then go back and hit it right when it, like, in that perfect moment, and was able to bring him back.
Yeah.
Same thing at the end when he gets like stabbed or cut or something, right? He gets injured, right? And he like misses the point where he's supposed to like get Cyborg so that he can go and infiltrate like the mother boxes to break the unity.
Yeah.
Break the mother boxes apart again. Like he misses it, and you start to see the world turn into like that apocalyptic, right? You see like he failed, but and then that's when you see like the future thing that he was saying, and then like he's like, I gotta do this, right? And he turns back time, and he you know, saves it or whatever. But like those moments of like I was like grabbing onto something, I'm like, oh my god, he missed it.
I know. Like, yeah. And they died.
Like, yeah. And it was just like so much more was at stake.
Yeah.
It just, I loved everything about it. The humor too was like, they did cut down some of that humor. I think there was a lot more humor in the Joss Whedon one. And there's this like not funny part where like the Flash trips and lands on Wonder Woman's boobs, basically face planted on her boobs. Do you remember that?
In Joss Whedon's, right?
In the Joss Whedon one, and they completely took it out. I'm like, yeah, good. That was not funny. Like there were certain parts where I'm like, that's not funny to me, right?
Yeah.
But they still kept some humor in this one, but it didn't take away from like the intensity of the story. And it was just really good.
I do have one thing that I could see like I don't know why they added it in there. Maybe I'm not a big like nerd about it, but I just didn't think it was very necessary, was when they showed the Lex Luthor part towards like basically at the end.
When
he had escaped. I just felt like that didn't really tie into it, but I guess if they're like setting it up for a future movie, it makes sense. But I just felt like it was really out of nowhere because Lex Luthor really isn't in the film, but I guess like Lex Luthor is the one that warned Batman about like the 3 mother boxes,
right?
And then you just see him at the end like escaping the jail. Like I just didn't think that was necessary, and I was confused at the very end, that I had to talk to Jesus about. I was like, so are they in a different dimension? Because like because I guess
the nightmare sequences, right?
The nightmare sequences, but also like the fact that like Barry Allen missed it multiple times, so he had a like, whether he like turned back time, maybe it's a different dimension where it didn't go as planned, because you know when they were when Barry Allen had to run and touch the mother box before it hit that liquid, he had to do it again. But during that time, Cyborg was having these visions of like the future, or of like things not going as planned. So basically it's that world, that dimension that happened that we see at the end is basically what I got from it. I just thought it was interesting, and I couldn't really hear Joker because Joker appeared at the end, so I had to like rewind and put some subtitles.
Oh yeah, I watched the whole thing with subtitles.
Yeah.
But I actually did like that scene. Like I didn't really like Jared Leto as the Joker necessarily, or he's not like my favorite Joker, but I actually did enjoy the Joker part at the end. And like you see him, like they're in this apocalyptic world basically where Superman turned bad, and like that's how bad the situation is, that they have to work together. You know, like I was like, damn, that's crazy. I mean, they're like the worst enemies, and like here they are having to work together to save the world against the evil Superman. There's like a lot of things that I was like, wow, that was really clever of how they tied that in.
But the only thing that I was confused about was like, why did he turn bad? Like, we don't know what happened. I guess Lois Lane died.
Lois Lane, yeah.
But like, I don't know. To him to turn bad just because of Lois Lane, like I don't know. You know, like I would have wanted to, I guess, see that, but then it would have been like way longer than what it is. But I just felt like as someone who isn't like super like invested in like comics or the universe in general, like other people are, I just felt like I was kind of reaching for that information.
Yeah. And like there were some things that like I didn't even pick up on until I like watched videos or read articles about it, because I also Like I really enjoy these types of movies and I love superheroes and all that stuff, but I'm not like a diehard and like I don't know all the details of the story.
Same,
and
yeah.
I don't pick up on all the Easter eggs,
Same.
So I had to go back, but yeah, like that one scene where he's like Superman is holding what I didn't realize at the time was Lois Lane's corpse. She was dead.
Yeah.
And like that, and I'm like, oh, so that's why he became like angry and evil and like taking out his pain on the world. Like, is that exact like specifically what's happening here? Yeah, I had to like research that.
Yeah.
But overall, how would you rate it out of 5 stars?
5. I would rate it
a solid 5.
Solid 5. What about you?
Me too. I would give it a 5. I love, like I said, the characters. Oh, also the villains. I mean, you really got to see Steppenwolf's motivation more clearly. Yeah. Now I really understood like why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
I liked how he looked better this time than the first time. He looked like really like puny, this like skinny, weird looking like dude thing. And now like he had like his full on armor thing and he was like bigger.
I liked his armor.
And just like, he just looked way better.
Yeah.
And then they introduced Darkseid. I just loved it. Just felt more wholesome, if that makes sense. Like it was just a lot more cohesive story,
Yeah. I would agree.
So
if you haven't watched it, if you haven't watched it, we highly suggest you do. I think you would really enjoy it. It has a lot of just in general good action, good storytelling. It was filmed really nice. Some of the CGI was a little, but it was still very good.
Better than the first one, I would say, though.
Yeah, better than the first one, but
still,
I think you can tell there's some, but it's fine. It's fine. But I recommend people watch it if they haven't.
Yeah, I do too. Let us know what you think in the comments below about the Justice League movie. If you've seen it or if you plan to see it, let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts, and we hope that if you plan to watch it, that you enjoy it just as much as we did.
Yes, let us know. Comment below.
Yeah.
Or comment on our social media. Let us know.
On our Facebook, on our Instagram, or on the YouTube page.
Sure.
Okay. Ready to move on to our main topic for the day?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, when we were planning for this,
it's gonna get serious.
Yeah. I feel like this is how our episodes go, Michelle.
I know.
It's like, okay, now we're gonna get deep about something.
Get deep.
I
mean, we're going through life together, right? So
basically, which is actually why I feel like this topic is so relevant and important to talk about. But essentially, it's like finding your why. And it's very vague, and it's like it can be interpreted in so many ways. But when we were planning like our episode before, like a few days ago or a week ago or whatever, we were talking about like how we've talked about ourselves and like what we do and what we enjoy and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't actually explained why or like how it is that we got to this point in our lives, right? So we thought we'd share a little bit of our journey and like what we think our whys are, or I'm still trying to figure out exactly what my why is, but
same.
And it can be so okay, I guess we could just get into it.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you when we say finding your why?
Yeah. I think for me, there's different whys for different areas of your life. But they all have like a commonality of like things that you value, things that you want in your life, things that you need, or things that fulfill you. So for me, what was the question?
What does it mean? What does
it mean? Yeah, that's what I think it means to me. But like specifically, I think it's easier for me to pinpoint my why for my career. It's a lot easier for me because that's I think more tangible in my opinion. But when it comes to like my overall life, my why is something that fulfills me and makes me feel whole as a person. And those are my reasons to doing what I do and what I choose to put my energy and my time into. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like very abstract, and it's hard to like really define it and talk about it in very concrete ways. But to me, it's essentially like, I guess it could be like your purpose, right? Or your internal, like whatever you have internally that drives you to make the decisions that you make in your life. And that could be in relationships, friendships, with your family, with your career, right? That career is one of them. That career is probably the one that we're going to talk about today. But it looks, I mean, there's different, like you said, different whys. Yeah. I don't think necessarily my career is my why, but I think my career is like my job, what I do here, what I do for a living is evolving or like playing into my why.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think in general, whys take a long time, at least from, I don't know for me, if I developed it, because I think it's so abstract that I think it's different for a lot of people. So some people may find their why early on in life, but also maybe there's different whys into like, just, I mean, there's different whys in general, but like when I'm talking about like career wise, like there may be different whys and maybe different things. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Do I make sense?
Yes. This whole topic is very easy to not make sense because there's just I just feel like there's a lot here, but
and whys can change is my point. Like whys can change, or like you may think that you want something one time, like when you're younger, and then maybe when you're older, like maybe that isn't your purpose. That isn't your why. So like, I think it's okay for that to happen too.
Do you feel like it's possible to equate why with passion? Like, could you interchange those two? Or no? What do you think?
Passion.
Like, is your why your passion?
No. I wouldn't say so.
That's different.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think passion is a feeling, you know? And I think why is like a way of thinking, like your state of mind.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to
At least that's how I view it. So for me, it isn't the same thing. Yeah. I don't know why I just went like this.
Passion and why, two separate things.
For me, it is, but
I don't know. I don't have an answer necessarily.
Okay.
I was just curious to see what you thought, because sometimes I think like, well, I'm passionate about working with kids. Well, yeah, I guess then it would be different, but because my why is not like just working with kids. It's like helping people in general, but then I kind of like, if you specify it, it's I work with young kids. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
people are like, you're not helpful.
I know. I'm sorry, y'all.
Just listen. We know what we're talking about a little bit. Okay.
We're just sharing our knowledge based on our experience.
Yeah.
We're no experts in this, but this is
yes.
I've been asked this. I'm pretty sure most of you have been asked this. Like when you were a kid, right? And people ask, and you get asked the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Have you gotten that question before?
Oh yes. What about you?
Yeah, and I feel like that has put pressure on me to know. Like I feel like, you know what I mean? I'm like, do I have to have an answer?
Yeah.
And it took me a little while to figure out what I want to do, but. For you, Mish, we talked about this a little bit, but not on the podcast. How did you get to that decision of, I want to study law? I want to go to law school, you know?
Yeah, that was, okay, let me think.
How old were you when you made that decision?
I was really young. I was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. I loved school when I was really young, and I actually started a year earlier than when I was supposed to, preschool. And when my school found out that I was younger than what I was supposed to, they were like, "You need to wait a year." So I had to wait a whole year to get back into preschool, and now I'm in like whatever. It doesn't matter. I was salty about it. Okay,
we're still feeling some type of way about it.
I was feeling salty about it. But anyways, I just remember when I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer really young. And I told my mom that. And I don't know if I even then understood it. But as I grew older, I knew about like injustices happening in my community. So during that time, I was living in Los Angeles in a predominantly low income immigrant community. And, you hear things about like La Policía and La Migra and, you hear all these things. And I'm not going to talk about other people's stories, but I grew up around a lot of that. And so to me, that I was exposed to that. And also when my parents got a divorce, I was really young too. So, we were assigned our own guardian ad litem. And that's when I was really young, I found out what that was. And I knew that was a lawyer. And I liked the outcome of, how that divorce ended. So I saw that as a way to like help people when I was really young. And so for me, as this child, being exposed to these things, these injustices, and like this system that I didn't fully comprehend, I thought I saw it as this system that I could use to help people. And so I don't know how I got that as a child, like when I was really young, but I remember 3 years old, I told my mom, 2 or 3, I can't remember. I was probably 3. I told my mom I wanted to be a lawyer. But at the same time, during that time, I also wanted to be a journalist, which would explain what I majored in my undergrad when I was at UW-Madison. So yeah, that's where that stems from. And, as I got older, I was able to understand more like the legal system, but it wasn't until going to law school where I fully comprehended what it meant to be a lawyer, what the law meant, like, where does it come from? Like learning all these cases, and they set precedent and all these different areas of the law, and like the law is changing, and we can change the law, but also it's really hard to change the law, and judges make these decisions, and like who appoints these judges, and a lot of it is also very political. And I was very involved in politics as a child because being exposed to all these injustices happening, I became very involved politically when I was really young. A lot of people didn't really know that about me because I was very quiet in like high school. But once I got into college, I became more vocal about it. And yeah, I think it was just my exposure and my environment. And that's what led to me just in general feeling like I want to help people, and how can I help people? And, I saw this route, and yeah. What about you? What led you to wanting to be in the career that you're at, and how did you get there? When did you know?
Yeah. Hearing your story, mine's way different.
It's okay.
I'm like, you knew this when you were 3. I like just barely started talking at 2 years old or whatever, or like a year old. And then like at 3, I don't even know what I was doing at 3. It's just so interesting to me. And like, it fascinates me that like, and it's really cool that you stuck with it. A lot of people do change their interests and their paths. And you did journalism, right? And you you did different things, but at the end of the day, you continued with law, and you graduated from law school. So you stuck with it.
Don't quote me on the 3-year-old thing. I just know I said it when we lived in California, and that was before I was 6 years old. So sometime between either 6-year-olds and younger is when I said it, because I remember saying young. It. Yeah, but I don't know if I was 3. Don't give me that credit.
No, but either way, like even before 6, like that's impressive, And like, when I was asked that question, like I had all sorts of answers.
Oh hell yeah! So did I.
I'm like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a soccer player. Like all those things. Like, I was like, I just want to do it all. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah. And then also another difference is that I don't have like, okay, so what I do is I work with children who have certain developmental delays, whether it's just like a global delay or they have like a speech delay, or they may have a diagnosis like autism or another, or Down syndrome or other things like that. So I work with those kiddos, and I work with and they're very young. They're between 0 and 3 years old. So they're very, very little.
Yeah.
And I work with their families, right? So but I don't have like kind of what you were explaining to me is like you had firsthand experience with the law and you got to see how it impacted your family, right? I didn't have there was nobody in my family that had like a delay necessarily that was talked about. You know, I don't have any in my family that has autism. Like I don't have that like personal experience. So I didn't really know that I wanted to do this until later on. I followed the nursing path. That's what I did because I just wanted to help people. And I thought, well, you know, nursing is a good way to do it. And it's decent money. And my parents really supported that. And, you know, so I was like, okay, I think this is what I want to do. I applied to nursing school in college. I don't get in. And my first reaction is like a deep breath of relief. Like it was like a sigh of relief. And I was like, okay,
what does this mean?
You know, like I was like, okay, maybe so I don't want to do this, you know. If I really wanted to do it, I would have applied again. And I didn't. I chose to pick a different route. To talk like I've always liked working with kids, and I feel like I guess I can make it a little personal. When my brother was born, I was 11 years old. So there's a really big age difference there. And while I had that sister brother relationship with him of like, oh my gosh, you're so annoying, leave me alone. I also had that like parental type of responsibility within myself. It's not like my parents made me care for him, but it was like I felt that, you know. But then I got to watch him grow to be who he is, and I'm like, I was part of that. Like I played a role into how he was raised, and like he is who he is not only because of like there's also our innate temperament, our innate who we are, right? Our genes and all that kind of stuff, but our childhood also plays a big role into who we become later on in life. And I got to see that firsthand with my brother because I saw him from the moment he was born, and now he's 17, and like he's developed into this like wonderful person, kind human being. And I'm like, yeah, I was there from day one, you know, and I was there for you, and like I helped raise you and like all these things. So that also like was so magical to me. I don't know why. I was just
that is really
that
cool.
Is so like cool that I got to help, you know, contribute to raising you.
Essentially.
So I've always had that thought of like, okay, who we become, our childhood is not the end all be all. It's not the determining factor, but a lot of our experiences as kids do play a role into who we are as we get older and who the people that we become. And I truly believe that we develop within the context of relationships, right? So that's like my main philosophy. That's what I go into. That's the mindset that I go into when I do the work that I do. And I help kind of coach either parents or grandparents or caregivers or cousins or whoever have those magic moments, like interactions with their kiddo. And that's like the magic pill to like helping a child develop and grow and learn new skills. So I don't even know if that answers the question, but I'm like, I really like doing that. And I like seeing those moments. And I like when I get to hear like a child start to speak and then the parents get really excited and then they share this bonding moment together. You know what I mean? Like,
it's amazing that you're not only just helping the child, but you're helping, you know, the parents and their relationship with their child or their, the caregiver, if they don't have a parent. So I think it's amazing. You're literally building and helping develop like this young person's mind, and you know that person is gonna grow and like do amazing things. So that's pretty cool.
It's crazy. Like it just fascinates me. I tell the parents like or the caregiver, you're like the brain architect. Like you are literally building connections in the brain. When you sing a song with them, when you play a game with them, when you hug them, like those moments, you're building connections in the brain. And I feel like a lot of people, unless like I mean, I studied this and stuff, but like it's hard to get a grasp of that when you don't really talk about it. And you know, like there's a lot of those like the smallest things, like eye contact is super important. And I try to highlight that. And like all of these things are like precursors to language. And a lot of times when parents have concerns about speech, they look at speech and that's the main focus. But if the child is not looking at you, if the child's not paying attention to you, it's going to be really hard to get those first words. So there's like, it's like a pyramid that you have to like work your way up, or like steps. And like, you know, it's all based in science, but also very much like those lovey-dovey moments and like all those things all kind of play together. And once you get those things, then you start hearing the language and you start seeing all, you know, like those kind of like those changes, those positive changes. You see the child, like their frustration goes down because now they have the words to express their emotions. Right. And then all of a sudden the parent can fully understand what they're saying. And then, you know, like it's just this really nice, it all kind of all comes together.
That's
anyway,
nice.
I just went on a rant, but
no,
that's my why.
That's good. And that's what I think. And you're explaining basically like what you do too. For people who don't know, I think that's really good that you explained and said all of that.
Yeah, sometimes people like know like kind of what I do, but then they're like, when it comes to them explaining it, they don't really know exactly what it is. But yeah, that's like part of what I do.
So that's your why.
I would say my why is more like just helping people. And then the way that I'm doing that is through my job. One way of doing that is through my job, you know. But I wouldn't say like my job is my why, you know.
Like, I know what you mean. Like you're not revolving your life around your job.
It's not the title. Like being a developmental therapist, that's not my why. You know, and there's other ways to seek out my why in you know, besides doing that. But for now, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm happy right now, and I could see myself doing this for a while longer. I don't know about forever, maybe, who knows, we'll see. But it's just like one route of following my why. That makes sense.
That makes sense. I think that a lot of us are conditioned to think about our why as our career, because I thought of that for a long time and I wasn't very happy with like for a long time I felt like I needed to be like this perfect, air quote perfect, because I'm not perfect, like student where I needed to get really high like straight A's, and I needed, you know, to go into the like an Ivy League law school, or else I wouldn't like be a successful lawyer, or I needed to, you know, all these things that like society tells us that like we need to do this in order to be successful, and you need to do this in order to, you know, have a good life. And you know, my why was my career for a long time, and for a long time I was like, why am I just why?
We're gonna say, somebody count how many times you say why in this episode and let us know.
Because I was just like, it makes no sense, you know. And I think now we're in a, I guess our generation and younger Gen Zs are, you know, looking into like, you know, your job shouldn't be your entire life, and your job shouldn't be your why. And if it is to you, and if it makes you happy, that's great. But you know, we're living in this, like, we're centering wellness and like mental health, and I think that that's really important. And for a long time I associated my why to my career, and I associated all these achievements and success to like worth and to value, and and that isn't healthy, at least for me, in my opinion, and for my life and for my fulfillment and my happiness. It wasn't.
I have that similar sentiment. I actually had a talk with my brother about this because he is a junior in high school, and he's, you know, thinking about college and all these things, right? When I was younger and like in school still, like as a middle schooler, high schooler, it was always ingrained in my head that college was going to be the next thing after high school. There was no other, that was it, you know? And, you know, we were in that same scholarship program and they paid for our tuition. That's a big reason why I went to the school that I went to. But it was always like, after high school, you're going to go to college. Like, that's what you're going to do. We moved to this country, right? We didn't get those opportunities. We want you to get those opportunities. So it was like all I knew, you know? I didn't know exactly what I was going to study necessarily. I just knew that that was the next step.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it, and I'm grateful that I did it, and I actually chose to go back to school, which is why I got my master's.
Did you want to though, or did you feel like, oh, I have to do it because my parents want me to do it?
I didn't know at the time that I didn't want to. And like there were some moments where I was kind of hesitant, but I didn't register it. Like it was just like all I knew was that I was going to college. That was it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like
that makes sense.
Some hesitation, but I didn't make anything of it.
It was just kind of like, this is what is expected of you, so you're doing it, and there's no way to get out of it.
Right.
Oh yeah. For me, it was more like I loved school. I loved learning, but I'm very happy that I went to college, because college is a lot different than high school. Like I very much enjoyed college, and I grew so much as a person, and I loved all of those years.
Yeah.
So, but I also like really loved learning. So for me, similar to you, I mean, single mom, she was like, I didn't get to go to college, get an education, you're gonna do it. But I really wanted to too. So I was like, I know I am. I want to. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And as I was already stuck in that mindset where I was just like laser focused into being a lawyer, and like I was gonna do it and no one's gonna stop me. Like that was my mindset.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like that's so interesting, because it's not that I didn't want to go to, like I've always enjoyed school. I've always liked learning. But I didn't know what I was going to study necessarily. I didn't have that like clear, like this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to get to it, right? Yeah. So that I had some fear around starting school.
Yeah. That's real.
And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know? And I just like stuck with nursing, because that was just like what I stuck with. Not to hate on nursing. I respect to that profession. It was just something that just wasn't for me. Yeah. But then once I found my major, I majored in human development and family studies, and I like fell in love with it. And then I chose to continue school then, you know, like I went to go get my master's. I chose to do that for myself. It wasn't like, now that's the next step. It was like, no, that's the next step I want to take for myself. Yeah. You know, but prior to that, I had that feeling of like, well, this is it. This is what, you know, what's next. Yeah. So when I was talking to my brother, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's important to like be able to choose it for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Versus someone telling you like, this is what you have to do, because it's different when someone tells you versus you wanting to do it, because the process is different too. And the outcome may be more successful when you actually choose your own path.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my master's program was really hard, and like it took a lot of work, but I thoroughly enjoyed every single class that I took. And like I was wanting to learn these things, you know, like it didn't feel like a drag.
Yeah. Law school. Okay. I just gotta say, law school was painful as like it's hard, and it's not for me. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know who. I mean, I enjoyed my friends and learning, but it was very hard, and something that we don't talk about, at least as a first generation student, called like of undergrad and you know, post grad, law school, like first gen in general, like education, and especially going to predominantly white schools, like has a mental toll. It has affected me. Like it has given me anxiety, stress, like everything, and it's an emotional toll and mental toll. So that is something that like I still think back on, not just like, yes, I loved college, but also like it was hard for me too. And law school was even more hard. Like it's hard to explain how hard it felt, because just the amount of work that you have to do, even though I enjoyed it and I knew I had to get through it to be a lawyer, like it is hard. And knowing and like understanding that I chose this, like I chose to go to law school, I chose to put myself through this. Still, I don't think it should be as hard, and like I just think we need to prioritize mental health and wellness, especially in the law. And I know a lot of law schools talk about this, but like a lot of law schools don't really mean it. And in general, like the legal profession isn't very open into talking about mental health and all these things, but it's super important. And any, if you're in college or if you want to get your master's or if you want to go to law school, medical school, it's important to prioritize your mental health because it will be hard, regardless of where you go. But like, hopefully you have your why, I don't want to say why, but hopefully you have your why that will keep you from going forward. Or if you need to take breaks or whatever, like whatever you have to do for you, like do it.
Yeah.
But also like that why is what kept me going.
Yeah. Yeah, and like for some people, it'll be that why will keep them going with their track, or their why is gonna take them on a different path, and that is okay, and that's okay, right? Like if let's say you do start law school, or you start medical school, or you start a master's program, and you're like miserable and you don't want to be there, it's okay to change your route. You know, the main message here is to follow your why, essentially. No matter what other people tell you. But that's
some people are going to be like, we have to find our why. I feel like some people are like, I don't know my why right now.
That too.
That's okay. That's okay. You can find it. It'll take some time. You gotta explore. You gotta do different things. See what you like, see what you don't like. It's okay not to be good at it at first. I mean, like you might find your why and you're not very good at it. It's okay. Like you learn, you practice, you get better at it. It's just, yeah.
You
were going to say something about your brother?
Oh,
did I like cut you off?
No, that's okay. We were talking about college the other day because he had just taken the ACT. And
wait, he took it in 2020?
He took it like a few weeks ago.
What? They're making people take, or they're making it? I thought it was optional.
Well, he took it. I don't know exactly what happened with that.
But props to your brother. That's an accomplishment right there.
Yeah. So I mean, I was talking to him over the phone, over FaceTime, and he called me to ask me about what an education credit is, or like through engineering, like we were talking about how sometimes your employer, depending on the employer and the company, they may pay for your schooling, right? If you go back to school or something like that, because he's thinking about engineering, right? But we had this long talk about, I was trying to emphasize to him to not feel pressure to have to go to UW-Madison, right? Or to college in general. And I wasn't trying to deter him from college, but I don't want him to feel what I felt when I was younger, and that's all I knew is like college. That's the only direction anybody else really pushed me in towards. And so we had this like long talk, and like I wanted to like assure him that if you want to go to like MATC and then transfer, or you want to do like you want to start working right away and see kind of, like explore your options. What are you interested in, right? Like do what you feel is best for you. And I think in this moment in time, he is still figuring out his why, right? And so like I just kind of want to give him that message, like take your time figuring it out, and that's something that I feel like we need to tell more people, because a lot of people probably had that same experience I did, where that's kind of like, you're going to school and this is what you're going to do, or they're pushed into a certain direction. Maybe it's not school, maybe it's something else. And they're like, this is the path that they're going to take because this is what they're going to take. But, like you were saying, like explore your options.
That's
still trying to figure it out.
And to be quite honest, I did say when I was really young that I wanted to be a lawyer, but then when I got to college, I was like, yo, there are other majors here. Like I don't need to be a lawyer if I don't want to be. Like, so, and I said earlier in the beginning that I really wanted to be a journalist, and when I found out that UW-Madison has a really great journalism major and program in general, like graduate, I was thinking about being a journalist. And I wouldn't consider myself actually being a journalist. I did write, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm a journalist. But I did write when I was an undergrad and like after, but I wouldn't say that I'm a journalist again, because I don't think I was. Anyways, the lawyer path isn't the only path. And I was looking into the journalism school and you had to apply, and I actually applied, but I didn't get in. And the reason I didn't get in was because I didn't have any journalism experience. And they were like, they want people to get involved in like the school newspapers or like the community newspapers that were in the Madison area. So it's like, okay, I can do that. So then that's something that I did. But at the same time, I felt guilty, thinking about this other path that wasn't me being a lawyer, because in my head, it was always like, I want to be a lawyer. And I told my mom and like my family since I was little, like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And so they would always say, oh, you're going to be the first lawyer in the family. Like,
wow,
you're gonna, you know what I mean? So like, I felt like there's this pressure to just stick with that and going with that, because that's what I said I was going to do. And so I remember having a talk with my mom, like letting her know that I was going to apply again to get this journalism major, because I was interested in it. And if later when I graduate, if I still want to go to law school, I'll still do it. But right now, like, this is something that I want to do. And fortunately, my mom was extremely supportive, and she was like, well, if you want to do it, like, this is your life, this is your education, this is your career, like, whatever makes you happy, like, do it. And that like lifted so much weight off of my shoulders, because I felt that support from her. And it was okay for me to not want to be a lawyer if I didn't want to be a lawyer. But then I did. And then I saw how freelancing works. It ain't for me. I was like, I need a job. And I got the law firm job. And then I was like, okay, I'm good to go back to school now.
Yeah.
And then that's a whole different story. Law school is hard.
Law school is, yeah. I mean, I can only attest to the stories that I've heard from like you and our other friends who were in law school, but I don't think anybody's gonna really understand it unless they go through it. But I could just tell from like, well, everything you've told me, and I've seen you feel certain emotions.
Yeah.
We were in school at the same time, so
yeah,
we were kind of going through that together. But yeah, I could tell that it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out how like special that like your mom was like accepting of that change, and she was supportive. And that's something too that I think we should also highlight, because not a lot of, there's going to be people that will have a completely different experience. Well, they'll tell their parents or their family that they're changing careers or they're changing paths. And, you were saying that you felt like guilty, right? You had this like pressure and you felt guilty. But then you had this weight lifted off because your mom was really supportive. But then, there's people that will not get that same response. Yeah. And it can be really hard. And it can even deter somebody from seeking another path because of that fear of that disappointing their family, or that they have that guilt, and that kind of overcomes their direction, right? Like, they're not willing to change because they're kind of stuck in that route, and they don't want to disappoint their loved ones.
Yeah. And I've also seen the opposite, where like someone wants to achieve the like either be a doctor or a lawyer, and somebody is telling them that they can't. I've also heard other people from that route, from that experience, saying, guidance counselors or teachers or family members would tell people like, no, you can't do that. And in general, I think we get told no a lot. And in different contexts. So like if you're applying to a job, if you're applying to college, if you're applying to graduate law school, medical school, whatever, we do hear, at least in my experience and other people's experience as first generation low income, we do get told no. Like I know you with nursing school, me with journalism. I didn't get accepted to all the law schools I applied to. So like we get told no a lot. So I hope that like your no's either like help you in some way, either they put you in a path where you choose where you want to go, or if you want to continue and not pay attention to that no, that you continue moving forward. I think it's very discouraging to get told no, but at the same time, like I hope that doesn't like turn off someone's light or inspiration to keep going. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's important to point out that like we're talking about our education and our majors and like our career paths. So I think it's important to point out that like as first generation low income people of color, it's a lot hard for us to go into these spaces, to go into higher education, to go into graduate school, to go into law school, and to be in these professions. That, you know, certain people have other privileges that makes it easier for them. Right. Either with standardized testing, with education, with private tutors, whatever it is. It's important to distinguish that, like, yes, they have all these privileges and this money that, you know, will make it easier for them. And it's important to acknowledge that it's a lot harder for us, but it may not necessarily be more. It may not necessarily be impossible. It's important to recognize that it's going to be a lot harder for us. Like, it's going to be like way, way more harder for us, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with that at the same time, because as people who have like disadvantages because of like our backgrounds, whatever it is they may be, there needs to be more resources, and there are resources, but there needs to be more.
Yeah.
But my point is just basically saying, like, if you want to do something, you can do it. Just know that it's going to be really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree and disagree to highlight there's going to be times too, like, and this happens a lot within the system because it's not made for people of color, but you can have you as a person of color could have the same qualifications as like a white person, and the chances that they're going to pick the white person is higher than if they were to pick a person of color, right? So there's all, like, you know how they say, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and, you know, if you work hard enough, you get to achieve it, right?
Yes,
and like nothing's impossible, right? Like, yes and no.
Yes. Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Like, you know, I don't like when people tell me, like, you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it, because it's not always the case. You could put your mind to it, and you could be just as qualified or even more qualified than your counterparts, and they still might pick that person over you, right?
Yeah.
Just like this is just an example.
Yeah. I think that's true. Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate reality of the system in which we live in and go to school in, right? Like, it's not made for people of color. Okay, but aside from that, I also, like, I want to emphasize what you just said is, like, just because you are told no doesn't mean you should believe it. And like, if you want to keep pursuing, you know, a certain path, then do it, you know, like, people are telling you go for it. People are telling you can't do it. People are telling you this and this and that. But what are you telling yourself? You know, ultimately, I feel like that's what we should be listening to, is like, what is the voice inside your head and like your soul? Like, what is that voice telling you? Listen
to yourself. Listen to that voice, and then also speak kindly to yourself.
Yes.
It's like, whatever it is that you speak to yourself, like, that has an impact. So I definitely agree. And listen to what you were saying, and just be kinder to yourself.
Yeah, and be patient, and you know, give yourself time and space, and, you know, do whatever it is that you need to do for yourself to be able to reach whatever goal that you have.
Yeah. And it'll take time, or, you know, different paths, like, might not work, it may work. Like, it's all different. Like, people are different, you know?
Yeah. I'm like constantly switching interests.
Yeah.
Like, that's just like what I do.
I know. Yeah. Tell them, give them some examples.
Okay.
Because I know, because I see you and I talk to you pretty much.
Yeah, I'm like constantly trying different things. I mentioned in our intro video for this YouTube channel that I love music, and like piano was my first like really like major interest in music in terms of instruments and stuff like that. And I love it and all that kind of stuff. I bought a piano last year, had it for like a few months, and then I sold it for various reasons, right? One of them financial, because of the pandemic. It was a hard year for me financially. But yeah, so I sold it, and then I started the drums, and like, this is just like what I do. I constantly am like trying different things. I was really into biking last summer, but I hadn't really done it before. Then I got into the roller skating, and I bought roller skates.
Yeah.
So I'm like constantly.
That's cool,
just, like,
though. That's cool.
Things.
That's good. You're jumping into hobbies, you know, being active. I'm not like that. I keep saying that it's my schedule, but like everybody knows that that's just an excuse. Like if you actually want to do something, you'll make time for it. So yeah, I have nothing to add.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do that, you know. It's just like that's just like how I've always been. Yeah. I was actually looking into like my horoscope because I'm like, I wonder, does this play into like is this like a personality thing or like something like that?
People are gonna be like, tune out. What the hell? No.
For real. Okay, I'll
just
stop
kidding.
No,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that like, so I'm a Gemini, and it was saying here like they're often falsely misrepresented as two-faced when in reality they are just constantly juggling a variety of passions, hobbies, careers, and friend groups.
Wow, that is
I'm
you.
Like that is
I don't know
about
the me. I don't know about the two-faced part the beginning, but definitely like the juggling activities.
Yeah, well, it says we're falsely misrepresented as two-faced. Like people think we're two-faced, but really we're just interested in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I just had to share that anyway.
Yeah. Wait, where did you see that for Gemini?
I just like searched up my horoscope.
Like on Google? Like Google?
Yeah.
Like on Google.
Like on Google. Gemini.
Okay, so Capricorn. What? That's it? Just Capricorn? Horoscope?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's see what it says for Capricorn. Wait, which link though?
I went to, let me see if I saved it. I went to sunsigns.org.
Sun signs. Okay.
Oh, wait. Hold on. I think that's just like the history of it. The history
of the sign. Sunsigns.com.
Or allure.com too is another one.
Let's see if I align with the Capricorn.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm getting this from astrologyzodiacscience.com, and it says Capricorn is a sign that represents time and responsibility, and its representatives are traditional and often very serious by nature. These individuals possess an inner state of independence that enables significant progress both in their personal and professional lives. They are masters of self-control and have the ability to lead the way, make solid and realistic plans, and manage many people who work for them at any time. They will learn from their mistakes and get to the top based solely on their experience and expertise. Damn. Yeah, that doesn't sound like me. Just kidding.
I think that sounds exactly like you.
Yeah, I can see certain things.
Like you're just like very realistic about things. You know?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I feel like I say all these things and then I present them to you and you don't bring me down, but you're like, okay, but like, is this realistic? Or like, you kind of ground me because I'm like, let's do all these things. And it's just not feasible. So you're very realistic about things. You have a really realistic outlook about life. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. We should do a horoscope episode next.
I know
that's a sidetrack.
Michelle and I have talked about this a lot. We just have to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So to summarize for our whys, basically listen to yourself. Like we have all these people telling us what to do, what not to do. Listen to what you want to do and stick to it. And second one would be, it's okay to change your whys.
Yes.
Like it's okay to change paths. And I just a side note, third, don't compare yourself to other people.
That's a good one.
We didn't really talk about it in the episode, but I think in general, I don't know, especially with people our age, we're like, I feel like we're in this like transitional period of like adulting where we're like people are in their careers or getting married or having kids or whatever it is that they're, people are doing. I feel like a lot of us in general, or maybe people in general, just don't compare yourself, because I think if you compare yourself, like you're just comparing yourself to someone who is living a completely different life than you. You know what I mean? And their situation and their experience is different. And just because you're on the same age and you're at different points of your life, that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's okay to grab, to be inspired by others and have that inspiration from other people. But like,
that's so nice.
When you start to compare yourself to them, that's like I think that can create a problem.
Yeah. And can we talk about supporting other people too? Like, I think you can be inspired by other people and also like support other them. People. Like, especially in law school, side note, like law school is competitive, not just like getting in, but also while you're in law school, you're like competing with everyone to get the highest grade or whatever. So I think there was so much competition, but at the same time, like I was able to find a group of friends who we were happy, like genuinely happy and supportive for each other, that if someone got a job, if someone got this grade, if something, like we were so happy, like genuinely supportive. Where was I going with this? Damn.
We need to lift each other up.
Yes, lift each other up. But at the same time, like some people don't want the best for you either. So, keep an eye out for those people.
Surround yourself with people who genuinely want the best for you and who will support you.
Yes.
Be intentional about who you surround yourself with.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, I think you said
I went off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, that was really important that you said that. That's a really good point. But just in general, like we as humans are programmed to grow, to change, to experience different things. Like I really hope for you that nobody feels stuck with something. And if you do, take that as a sign to try something else, don't feel like you have to stick with something. And like sometimes we'll go to school for something and we've worked so hard and we've reached this point and we're still not happy and we want to change it. As hard as that change can be, it might be necessary. If you're not happy, then it's probably worth it to make that change.
Yeah.
But don't beat yourself up for it. Be patient, be kind to yourself. And you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're here for y'all. We are here to support you.
We are here to support you, everyone.
Yeah, get some rest. You said, right? Rest. Get some rest, y'all.
That's what I needed to do in law school. Rest.
Yeah, you did. You worked your butt off. Okay, so thank y'all for tuning in to this episode. Please give us your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, subscribe to us. I don't even know what I was saying.
Your likes and subscriptions, give them to us.
Don't give us your subscriptions, no, but subscribe to our channel. That's what I meant to say. Oh, it's getting late, y'all.
It's getting tired. It's good. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you took something out of this. I hope you can relate to us, or we're all living life, so yeah, it's nice to be able to talk about this. And now a little bit of our journeys and our whys, I guess. We can get into other whys. This is more about the career, but more about career.
We'll talk about a whole bunch of other stuff too in the coming episodes, and we'll keep providing more content for y'all. Let us know what y'all want to talk about, what you want us to talk about, what do you want to see. Let us know. We definitely want to provide things that you would be willing to watch and listen to. Otherwise, it's just us, Mish.
Yeah. All right. That was nice.
Okay, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next one. Peace.
Bye.